His Imperial Majesty.
Oh,
an honor to be with you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Have a seat.
Thank you so much. Dear viewers, I have the honor here to be with His Imperial Majesty Fuankem Achankeng the First. He has 2 master's degrees, a PhD. He's the Anyatema of Atoabechied. And he's a professor and ruler, so he's a professor in the University of Wisconsin and also a traditional ruler. So a pleasure to be with you once more.
You're very
As well is
You're very
Imperial
You're very welcome.
Majesty. I'm so impressed to be here because, first of all, something very, very breaking took place on the 2nd of March 2021 when Pope Francis appointed for the very first time an African native born from Cameroon as the Bishop in the United States of America. I've heard about you, I've read many books which you published about the church. You grew up knowing many bishops back home in Cameroon, so I was inspired to carry out this scientific research with you. And I thank you for having made it possible. Before I continue, could you tell me more about you?
Oh, thank you so much. I am actually Catholic,
Okay.
so I know the tradition well.
Exactly.
Even though my predecessor, late His Imperial Majesty Fuankem Lekeanyi the First, was not Christian, he made sure he sent me to a Catholic mission school.
Exactly.
So I grew up Catholic, and so I know the position of the bishops in church. In my time, the Bishop of Boya was Jules Peters,
Exactly.
who confirmed me.
I see.
All my elementary education was by the Catholics.
Okay.
I went to a Catholic secondary school. I'm the pioneer of Our Lady Seed of Wisdom College from Tem. And before then, I'd been raised in So.
Okay.
And so I sat the common entrance in St. Augustine's.
I see.
And my desire was to go to St. Joseph's because most people from Nwe area went to
St.
Sase.
Joseph's College.
So when I was in So and took the entrance and interviewing to Sase,
Okay.
the late chief, my father,
Yes.
His Imperial Majesty Fuankem Lekeanyi the First,
Okay.
asked that I be brought back home because Sase had come to Bangwa.
Okay.
And so that's how I returned in July of 1966.
And you were the first batch of
Yeah,
Seed of
and I
Wisdom.
was one of the first 42 students
Okay.
who started Our Lady Seed of Wisdom College.
College.
From them.
How was the experience then with the folklore movement? There were those who established
Oh, the
that.
folklore had just arrived, and they started a dispensary, moving on to a hospital later on by 1969. And then the college, they had these 2 projects. So it was a big experience for those of us who grew up in the rural country. We were very proud that we were students.
Okay.
We were the only ones, and like I said, we were only 42 of us.
I see.
So we were the cream of the crop.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
academic people at then
Then,
young.
even though some of us, me in particular, I didn't know of the GCE. I just knew that I was a student.
I see.
Yes,
Quite interesting.
I was just proud to be a student. And our parents who sent us there, especially those that were from the locality, they were making a big effort
Okay.
to send children because it was costly
I see.
then.
I see.
Yeah, so we were actually the spoiled children of the times. Yes.
So the church played a great role by establishing that
Oh yes.
and held you with a college.
Oh yes. Oh yes. A major role.
And you told me it was thanks to Bishop Jules Peters who intervened.
The story is told
Yeah.
that Fuankem, His Majesty Fuankem Defang,
Okay.
had taken this problem to the bishop because many children were dying in the area. Infant mortality rates were very, very high. And so he had been begging for some healthcare facility in the area to take charge of that. And so when Kiara and the folklore came, well, Bishop Peters was the bishop in charge of the entire entire
jurisdiction area.
which they used to call it then West Cameroon.
Okay.
So they came to him, and because of the intervention or the pleadings of Fuankem Lekeanyi,
I see.
the bishop sent Kiara and the Focolare to Fuankem or to Bangwa. Yeah. So we were very blessed that the college came, because no one can underestimate the role of that college
Till date.
to the socio-cultural development of the entire area. Yes.
Wow. So after that, you had a wonderful time there. For how many years were you there, if I may ask?
5 years.
5 years?
Secondary school, yes.
Interesting. What happened after?
Well, that was all about my own education, can you believe?
Okay.
Because as a pioneer in a rural school, like I told you earlier, I didn't even know there was something like the GC
Wow.
at the end of the program. So many of us, I think the best student in class had seven O levels.
Wow.
I had 5,
Okay.
which was a feat for a guy who spent all his time playing soccer.
Oh, you
So-
loved soccer.
Oh yeah.
I see.
I spent on Saturdays, I could play from 1 o'clock till 6.
And you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So passing a few papers
It was a miracle.
was a miracle, and people couldn't believe that he did it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you were very intelligent.
Well, I don't know.
I think
So, in our days, there was only Cas Bambile alone
Okay.
as a high school where students could go to.
I see.
So, in those days too, Cas, it meant that students first had to write a Cas entrance,
Okay.
and then have at least 8 O levels in good grades.
Interesting.
So Cas Bambili wasn't meant for every kind of student.
Wow.
And so those of us who
Who had
didn't
5.
even know about it never went anywhere. And can you believe I joined a band.
Oh, wow.
I went to live with an auntie in Tombell,
Okay.
and there was a place called Ringo Hotel,
I see.
and they had a little band. I joined the band, and I was there for about a year, 8 months.
Okay.
And people came and pulled my ears away that no band boy ever
Became anything.
progress became anything
Exactly.
in those days. And so I left, and I went to teach English in Chang, in a
Oh.
place called Grand College de la Menua.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I taught for about 10 years
Wow.
before I went away to Nigeria. Taught at the Advanced Teachers College in Jalingo for another 1
1
year
year.
before I went to the University of Benin. in
You were so
1980.
courageous to go to Nigeria.
And I went there without knowing anyone.
Can you imagine?
I went through and saw where I had grown up as a kid.
Okay.
Took a Land Rover at Mv Market,
Okay.
and we went through the mountains, through Ndu, Ntumbo. Have you ever been to Mwa?
No.
Oh my goodness.
I've never been to Nigeria through that.
Oh. People
border.
say the Bangwa road is bad.
Yeah, that
You
one
need
is,
to go to Mwa
Oh my God.
and climb a hill called Rom Hill.
So it was a nightmare.
Oh, a nightmare. Can you believe that in the night,
Yes. We are
the driver would put a torch. You are sitting in front, a gallon of gas is standing there. You see the connections of the cable,
Oh my God.
and the driver has a torchlight in his mouth, and that's
Trying
how
to
you are
check.
driving through the tracks of cattle
Oh my
in the
God.
highlands between Mwa
Okay.
in Cameroon and Genbo, a place in Mambila Plateau in Nigeria called Genbo. So it was something.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you made it. You got to
We made it, got to
Jalingo.
Jalingo and on to Yola,
Wow.
and I joined a group of school leavers.
Okay.
They were looking for work. I too was looking for
For
work.
work.
So I finally got a job with them, and I
Okay.
was sent to Jalingo.
So what did you do? You were a teacher?
Yeah, I taught French in
Oh,
Jalingo for GSS Jalingo for
Interesting.
1 year, and while I was teaching there, a certain rector of the Advanced Teachers College, Jalingo,
Okay.
I think he was called Mustafa Abba or something,
Good stuff.
hired me to teach French at the Advanced Teachers College. This was 1979-80.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So you taught French there,
And then-
and then
Wrote the JAM entrance, and
wow.
went to University of Benin.
Was it easy for you to be admitted in Nigeria?
Oh, my admission was a nightmare. I think it's a story for a different day.
I would like to know what happened.
It's a story for a different day.
Okay.
Because it was tough. I had applied to JAM, and my first choice was Ibadan.
Yes, sir.
From coming from Cameroon, we didn't know the younger universities. We knew the older ones like Ibadan, Zaria, Suka, Lagos. So my first choice was Ibadan.
I see.
But I didn't know that Ibadan did not admit in the arts through JAM.
Oh.
JAM is Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board.
And you wanted to do arts?
I was always an art student.
Okay.
I'm about the worst student on earth in science. In mathematics is my nightmare.
It was a nightmare for me too.
Yeah, so that's what I had to do. And from Jalingo, even though I was teaching up in the higher secondaries and even the advanced teachers college, I was still called junior staff.
Can you imagine?
You needed a degree to be senior staff and live in the senior staff quarters.
And that's why you were
and
motivated.
living in the senior staff quarters meant that you had a house with a fan on the roof, you had a fridge, you had a gas cooker or some cooker.
I see.
But I didn't have a degree, so I was in the junior staff quarters. With a table fan.
Oh my God.
And no fridge and nothing.
Oh.
And do you know how hot it
No,
is
I can
in
imagine.
Yola?
It is.
Oh
extremely,
my goodness.
Because it's up north.
And it's along the river Benue.
Oh.
It is extremely hot. And so it was tough. And even though I was teaching in Form 5 and the advanced teachers, I was still junior staff. So my greatest ambition was to graduate. It didn't matter in what. I just wanted to be called a graduate.
To have a degree.
Yeah.
And you didn't make it.
So
after that experience, you got admission into the university?
I got admission into the University of Benin after many. I don't want to go that route, otherwise we might not finish.
I see.
The interview, but I got admission into the University of
Benin, and you.
And at the end of my first year, I was not only the best student in the department of foreign languages and
you distinguished yourself with a Bachelor First Class Summa Cum Laude.
Oh, before the bachelor's,
okay.
After my year 1 in the part 1 degree examinations, I was the best of my department.
Interesting.
And the overall best of the university, and was awarded a university scholarship for the remaining sessions of my stay. Alongside two other students.
And you specialize in foreign
languages. Yes, foreign languages. And then there was another student who did math.
Okay.
And then another student in engineering. So we're 3 university scholars from 1981.
I see.
Because I matriculated in 1980.
I see.
Yes.
So what attracted you into foreign languages, if I may ask?
From when I graduated from Cedar Wisdom, I also won the best prize in arts.
I see.
My friend,
congratulations.
My friend Dr. Ekokobe won the best prize in science.
Okay.
And I won the best prize in art, and I think I was good in that.
Wow.
So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was good.
So that's why when you went
and then even in Cedar Wisdom, I was doing very well in French and those kinds of languages. Yes.
I see. So you distinguished yourself in 1984 at the University of Benin with a Bachelor of Arts.
Yes.
First class.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I'm the first class from the University of Benin.
Interesting.
Yes, and my professors were usually very happy because when they introduced me that this is that first class,
yes,
the older professors will rise and say, "Son, keep it up.
Okay.
We who were your professors didn't make a first class."
Wow.
That
Congratulations.
And I used to have a friend in Cameroon, Bate Besson.
Oh, the great Bate Besson.
The great Bate Besson used to tell.
Writer.
Yes. He used to tell people, this is the only student who beat me in college. In university. And I told him, Bate, well, I had a first class, you had a second class upper.
Yes.
But everyone knows about Bate, but no one knows about
me. Can you imagine?
So, yeah.
Wow, I'm so impressed.
And when I finished, the university gave me a scholarship to do a PhD. Okay. Because generally when you have a BA first class, when you have a first degree at the first class level, you don't do a master's anymore.
You go straight to PhD.
You go straight to a PhD.
So what happened?
And so the university gave me a scholarship
Yes,
to study abroad and then come back as a lecturer for lectureship to prepare me for lectureship position in the university.
Okay.
Generally, first class students are not let go.
Okay. They
The
always keep
university keeps them.
them. I see.
Unfortunately, I didn't have a passport.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so I couldn't travel abroad
Oh my God.
for the PhD program.
And it was
As a matter
difficult
of
for you?
fact, if I'd had a passport
Yes.
by 1988, I would have had a PhD degree. Yes.
Oh my God.
So I returned to Cameroon to the family I already had
Okay.
and started thinking of what to do next.
So what came up next?
Well, I came to a world of concours. I tried to get
So
to.
many.
Well, I think I just tried to because you need to pay for all these things.
Exactly. The
I
expenses.
tried to get to Eric,
Okay.
and then I heard that they were starting another big school in Buya
Buya.
called Asti.
Exactly.
I took the entrance,
I see.
and I think we were about 14 more boys and girls.
Okay.
I was the only one who passed, and I went to Buya.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I'm also a pioneer. I've had this history of
I've been a
pioneering
pioneer.
things.
Always been the first.
I was a pioneer in the primary school. I was a pioneer in the
secondary school,
secondary school, and in my
Pioneer?
postgraduate university studied graduate studies. I was also a pioneer. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm one of the 30 students who inaugurated the University of Buya through the school called the Advanced School of Translators and
Translation.
Interpreters. Yes.
And you
And I used to even be the first student union president there.
interesting. So
Yeah.
you're a man of community, you're a leader, you have those leadership qualities.
Somehow, yeah, somehow.
I'm so impressed.
Mhm.
For so then you had a master's degree in that university.
Yeah, well, the qualification from ASTI was the master's level, yes.
Interesting. So you did graduate there with a master's in translation.
Translation, yes.
Interesting. And after that, from what I can read here, you went into
To work, I went to work. I first began to work at the presidency, and then the presidency transferred me to the Ministry of External Relations,
interesting.
where I soon became was appointed by the minister to a service head.
I think that was when I met you for the first time.
Maybe
I was
yes.
6 years old, and you came to my brother's baptism, my two brothers and sisters.
Oh, and Bamayo.
And you were the interpreter.
Oh, okay.
And I still vividly, I can still picture you translating and interpreting in French, because the person, most people were speaking in English.
Yes.
And you were extremely elegant with the tie. I admired your bilingualism. And I said, I want to be bilingual.
I was using expressions that you like.
Yes, for example, you said, s'agissant ce qu'il vient de dire. You know, I enjoy your gesticulations. I said, I want to be like him. I want to learn as many languages as possible.
Right.
And that really, I still have it in my mind.
Thank you.
It left me a lasting impression.
Thank you.
And from there, I said, I want to learn language. I want to learn French,
Thank you.
Spanish, and thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I still
You're most
vividly
welcome.
remember, and I still have the picture.
Oh, you do?
Yes, the picture when you were interpreting.
Oh,
When
nice.
adjutant chef, it was an adjutant chef who was speaking, a very important authority.
Yes,
And he was speaking in English. There were some francophones there because I was born in Balmayo,
yes.
and you were the liaison. You were the person trying to
Making the communication go through.
to interpret.
Okay.
So you have really inspired me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So after that experience, you that working in the Minister of External Relations, what came up next? From your ex?
First in 1993, I think,
Okay, cool.
with the introduction of multi-party politics, there was a lot of violence in the country.
Exactly, I remember.
And the first thing I did was I formed an organization,
Okay.
the Association for Non-Violence,
Wow.
which was aimed at introducing a third voice.
Exactly.
I was trying, I had read about non-violence and Martin Luther King and Gandhi. in India. And I tried to, excuse me, I tried to introduce a third voice in the politics, that people could disagree
Exactly.
without being violent to each
That's
other.
true.
I tried between 93 and 98. I was making a lot of headway. The organization was even registered at the United Nations. But I was misunderstood because the government
yes.
and the party and the CPDM party thought I was an
Against,
opposition.
exactly,
I was against them.
not knowing that you were a conflict. So you wanted to
the
resolve conflict.
the SDF, the main opposition leader, or most of the opposition people thought I was working on the payroll of government
Exactly.
to pacify people or to kind of soften minds of people.
I see.
And so I was caught between two enemies.
Two enemies.
And so I think that was just an element of my own life.
Okay.
I have been
Always been
misunderstood.
Always, most of the time.
Most of the time I've been misunderstood.
By the intentions you have.
By the intentions I have. I was genuinely
Exactly.
preaching non-violence.
Peace.
We could,
Intentions.
the opposition and the government could disagree
Exactly.
and talk and dialogue. Instead of burning and killing and the kind of things. Well, you were still pretty young in 1993, 1992, 93 to see, did I see 92? Yeah.
92, yes.
Because multi-party started around 1990.
Okay.
After perestroika and glasnost
Yes.
by the Russian leader at the time.
Okay.
So there was this general flow for a return to multi-partyism. You know, we have been, in Africa, we've been kind of followers all the time. We have not come up with our own ideas. From the 1960s and independence, the way to go was one party for nation building. Oh, so it was set. But from 1990, after glasnost, Europe was now prescribing multi-partyism for African countries. So the introduction was pretty brutal.
Okay.
Yes.
And you came up with a very nice idea as a promoter of peace.
Yes.
And you were misunderstood.
I was misunderstood.
So what were the consequences?
Well, I don't know. But I only know that my first public address was in January 1995. When I was invited by the American Embassy to do the Martin Luther King lecture. And I still can remember the title was Martin Luther King Jr., an invitation to nascent African democracies. That was the title of my talk, and the talk went so very well. The ambassador then was there, many embassies, many ambassadors came in. The cream of the Yaoundé elite all came to the American Cultural Center to hear me talk, and I took questions. Many of them even came from, there was this guy called Solomon Foju, who was chair of the Human Rights Commission then or something. They were all there to hear me talk. The ambassador asked me how long I had stayed in America to know so much about America.
So what was your answer?
Well, I told her I'd never been in America, and she couldn't believe it.
You had research.
Yeah, I had done a lot. I'd been studying Martin Luther King, and then in that same year, I got a mid-career professional scholarship from the Americans to come to study leadership, leadership in the United States.
Wow, impressive.
And I came to the University of Minnesota, the Hubert Humphrey Institute for Public Affairs.
Interesting.
Yes. And there, I spoke to I did my second Martin Luther King lecture again at the Presbyterian Cathedral in Minneapolis.
Wow.
And was invited to speak at the School of International and Public Affairs at Columbia University in New York City on democracy and conflicts in Africa and things like that, and so I started
Interesting. Quite remarkable.
lots of public speaking engagements.
Quite remarkable.
Yeah.
So did you go back to school? From here I see you had a master's in conflict resolution from Antioch University in Yellow Spring.
Well, I started studying the Fulbright program. I didn't just stay.
Okay.
In fact, I took about 39 graduate credits.
Wow. From what you had done?
During the year.
Oh, wow. So
I spent the year taking classes. Even though it was a non-degree program,
can you imagine?
I spent a lot of time taking
So
graduate credits.
So passionate
about peace, non-violence. I think the focus of my program was leadership.
Yes,
for the common good.
Okay.
And then there were classes like international human rights law,
Okay.
public policy analysis,
Wow.
and conflict management. Those were my core classes. But I took time and took many other classes in the university.
Impressive.
And I had 29 or 39 graduate credits already. And then I went to do my internship at the Martin Luther King Junior Center. I was an intern there for a long time.
Okay.
And I went to the Iowa Peace Institute at Grinnell, Iowa. Yes. And so I've been passionate about issues of peace and conflict studies. Yes, for long.
You've always been.
I actually enrolled at Antioch before I left.
I see.
Enrolled for the masters that you talked about before I left. Yes.
So he's
Many people had asked me to stay.
Okay, but you said no.
I said no. I'd come to the United States as a guest.
Okay.
At a very high level, I didn't see myself staying.
I see.
But thank goodness, I didn't stay.
Okay.
Because the late chief, my father, whose
Your
picture
father?
you see here,
Yes, well.
passed away only 1 year, 6 months after my return from the United States.
Oh my God! What a coincidence it was.
Yeah, so I'm so thankful that I didn't stay.
Didn't stay.
Yes.
So you went through all the traditional rites and processes during his you mourned your dad, and there were so many people from the pictures I saw. Many people mourned your dad, who was his Royal Emperor Majesty.
Yeah. Fuankem
Achankeng.
No, Fuankem Lekeanyi.
Fuankem Lekeanyi.
Yes.
Fuankem Lekeanyi.
Of course, yes. The enthronement rites and things are very typical, and those are exceptional in the sense that the prince, when you hear, you learn kind of about the passing.
Okay.
You go home, you don't know, you least expect that you might be the next. And so, yeah, it was not only enriching, it was a surprise, a big one.
But before then, you had been a man of culture. You had been interested in as a leader. You had those qualities. So were you had the qualities.
Well, maybe my ancestors saw those in me.
Exactly.
I wouldn't know. Even though I'd been selected by the American Embassy as a leader, because my training at the Hubert was for world leadership.
Exactly.
It would appear America had discovered that the Soviet Union was going to crumble.
Okay.
And so they were going to be the only leaders of the world. And so they needed partners from across the world. They were sending searchlights across the world to look for emerging leaders to bring them to America so that they begin to be acquainted with the American ways, in order that by the time America emerges, and those people emerge in their home countries, America could easily partner with them. I think that was the framework for the training I came on. Yes.
So before we move on, what can you tell this audience about the importance of culture? You know, many of us from Cameroon or from African countries, when we come to the United States or to Europe, we forget about our culture, our